So I met Neil in, I think it was March of 1987. I was 16. I was living with my family, my parents, and my two younger siblings, not intensely intense, uh, at a RV slash campsite in Santa Clarita or Newhall area of California. My parents had lost their home. Again, we lived at least two times with my grandfather, my mom's dad, when my dad lost jobs or whatnot. And now we were basically homeless. And I met this very handsome, very intense, very charming, passionate man who was almost 13 years my senior. Uh, so when he met me, I was not in school, and he knew fairly early on because I told him I hadn't been in school since seventh or eighth grade, and he knew I took care of my brother and sister. He also knew because he would come and visit after work hours the campsite, and he would observe my dad kind of screaming at my siblings and me. Um, he witnessed the verbal abuse and on at least two or three occasions some physical stuff with us. And he would just sit there and watch. Like, it didn't seem to bother him. And I didn't think that was a big deal. Um, he knew I was religious. I had told him that I didn't plan on having sex or sexual activity prior to marriage. Again, we were very, very Christian. And so I remember I just turned 17 by this point, so I'd known him about 3 months. We went on our first date. And he knew, like, he knew my personal convictions, no sexual activity prior to marriage. But B, he knew how abusive my dad could be, especially physically. That's important. So we go on our date, and I didn't see this as a red flag at the time. I was just so happy to have attention and someone focused on me who thought or seemed to think I was awesome, right? So we went on our date, went out to eat, and then he pulls off to a dark place. And, oh, come on, he's kissing on me. And of course, I'm a teenager, hormones are going. He was very, very attractive. And kissing on me, oh, let me just touch your back. Oh, let me just undo your bra. If we don't have to do anything, just let me, please, 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 please. He begged, like he had to have, like, oh God, just let me touch you. You're so beautiful. And I was so lonely, no self-worth, and that's all. But I look back now, and here's a man almost 30 years old with the kids only 16 or 17 who he knew their religious beliefs and he knew they had abusive parents, but he's pushing the boundaries. See what he can get away with. And I let him undo my bra, touch my back, touch my breasts. Like, yeah. He had no respect for my personal beliefs. He had no concern for my parents' abusive behavior towards me. He just wanted what he wanted. We went home, and that set the stage. Everything was about pushing boundaries. How far can I take this? To the point that by January of 1988, oh, this is okay. So I need to back up. We finally got an apartment, and my parents and I were going to church, and Neil went along with us. And Neil was into things my dad didn't approve of, which was like playing Dungeons and Dragons and all this stuff. So Neil made this big show of, I'm now a Christian. I'm laughing because if you knew him, if you know him now, you would laugh that he was like, oh, I've come around. And so he brought all this D&D gaming stuff, which I found out later on he hadn't played in years, but he made this big show of throwing it away and converting. And so him and I started going to Bible studies and going to church together with my parents. And the Bible studies on Wednesdays was just him and me. So we're going to church together. I'm thinking Neil's on board. He's a Christian like me. We're on the same page. We're going to build a life together because by now we were engaged. He asked me to marry him. We started getting serious in June and we're engaged by September. And we had met in March and we didn't start dating until June. So 6 months after we met, 3 months after we started dating, he asked me to marry him, and I accepted because I was fiercely in love. And so in January of '88, we go to a Bible study, him and I alone in the evening. It was Wednesday night. But some things had been going on with my grandpa, my mom's dad, who was the only relative in my entire life that made me feel loved and accepted just as I was. Mess and all. Didn't make me feel like a POS. So I was really like not doing well. And I'm sitting in the car and I'm crying and I'm weeping, and he starts kissing on me and rubbing on me. And the next thing I know, we're in this back seat, and he took my virginity at a Bible study, at church parking lot, when we were supposed to be going into a Bible study, when I was emotionally vulnerable about my grandfather. I'm just going to leave that there for a minute. I wasn't 18 yet. He, at this point, was 30. I was 17. Very religious and cared about God, loved God. It was a big deal for me. And I was emotionally vulnerable because I was so scared about my grandpa, because he knew. And I even told him, this is the only one that I think loves me. And I was worried about losing him at that point. And that is when he made his move and took my virginity. He took advantage of me emotionally. And I look back and I'm like, what kind of person, it doesn't have to be a man, takes advantage of a younger, much younger person who's emotionally vulnerable, and to stick it to them right in a church where they're like religious. It was almost, I look back like a victory, like, ha ha, got her. Got her in my bed. Got her in a church parking lot. She was so religious. That's, that's a man I married. We'll talk about what happened when we finally married next.